All right, thank you so much. You're just in time for the town hall session. This is where we're having conversations on the safety in schools. So from faulty structures to deadly stampedes, are schools becoming the latest death traps in Kenya? And just what really happened to the 2008 Safety Standards Manual for Schools? That is the conversation we're having tonight on the town hall session. You're invited to give your views as well. 22422 is the SMS line at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. We'd like to get the solutions from you. We'd also like to hear what you think the issues are, all right? Keep them coming and we'll sample some of them during this broadcast. Let me introduce my guests to you real quick, beginning from my immediate right. Kennedy Echesa, lecturer and education expert. Thank you so much for making time. We also have Indimuli Kahi, is the chairperson, Kenya Secondary School Heads Association. Where does the buck stop? That is the question we'll be asking him. Should the principals take full responsibility when incidents like that happen in school? We had also invited Janet Budhoni Ouko, former Education CEC Nairobi and education rights advocate. She couldn't make it. So she sent in her apologies. Sami Mwangangi is also here, safety and security emergency and disaster expert. Thank you so much for making time as well. I'll start from here. Mami, we'll start with your name and then just give us a brief background of what really happened.
My name's Ajena Remy. I'm a parent. My daughter was in talent last year. The school collapsed on 23rd, around 6:50 up to around 7 in the morning, and I was at work. Then my sister was near almost taking our kids to the school that morning, because even they were going very early in the morning before 6. So, and my sister was taking his son around 6:50 before 7. So I had a call because I was at work. Then he called me when he was trembling. I'm like, what is happening? He called me, then he didn't even tell me what is happening. Then I didn't even call her back. I just went on with my work. Then after some few minutes, around 7:20, she called me again. Karemi, do you know the talent has corrupt? Then I asked her, corrupt? And it is a Mabati school. He told me, yes, it has corrupt and it has injured some kids. Now I'm like, what? That because I know the school, it had a floor, the second floor. I thought about it. Then I said, I call a colleague of mine. I told him, even him, our kid was in that is the same school. I called Frank. He told me, I told him, you know what? I've heard a talent has corrupt. What have you heard? He told me, no, I've not heard. Then I was like, what next? What am I going to do? Because I'm at the desk, nobody is there. My colleagues, the one who work with, is not around, he's far. Now it's very early in the morning. What am I going to do? Frank came out and told me, let's go. Then I called a colleague of mine. I told him, just look for me. I found the school of my killers corrupt. My land, and see what is happening there. Then before I move out of the building, I had a call. I don't remember who called me. He asked me, have you heard about the talent? Then I told her, yes, I've heard, I'm on my way coming. Then when I'm going out, I don't have anything to carry with me and I'm going. And now I'm like, when I reach outside, I wanted to take a motorbike. I don't even have my handbag, I don't have anything. So you were confused at that particular moment? It was God, because when I reached out of the gate, I met somebody, a motorbike person. I told him, I want to go to school, it has corrupt, please take me there. He didn't even ask me about the money or anything. He took the motorbike with my colleague. We reached the talent.
Hold the microphone closer to your mouth.
It was, wow. Then I started looking for my kids. The problem, my question here now will come here. When just a disaster happened, the rescue there, how can we rescue those kids? Because what I saw there that morning, you couldn't even know where the kids are, where the injured are, where the because like me, I had to check for my daughter. I didn't see her in the school.
Yeah.
Then I called my sister, have you seen Yvonne? No, we have not seen her. But the good thing of it, another person,
yeah,
I think he worked in Kenyatta. They are the ones who rescued Yvonne was the first person to be rescued because he was strapped near the door.
Yeah. So at this point, nobody's asking you who you are.
No, nobody. Everybody is in confusion. Everybody is confused.
Okay.
We are crying. We don't know where the kids are.
Yeah.
You're asking your kids. Nobody is telling you where the kids is.
How is she doing now?
Yvonne is fine now. She's doing well.
All right.
Because he had a fracture here and here.
Okay.
But now she's doing well. At least the hand is now stretching. She's fine.
At least that's good news coming from
Yeah,
that.
she's fine now.
All right.
So I heard someone saying there are some who have been taken to Catholic.
Okay.
There is a dispensary Catholic for sisters around the area.
Okay.
Then they had to lodge there.
Okay.
Even to learn to go and see that praise, to reach that praise, it was... But you can't even know where to start. From
where you stand right now, what are the gaps? What did you see as a gap? You mentioned disaster response was one of the things. What else did you see?
Disaster response is one of the problem we have in Kenya. Okay. Everywhere, I think.
Okay.
The second is how we get that information as parent.
Okay.
Because it comes to me or to any parent like a breaking news.
Yeah.
You see, that moment between you getting the message from the school and you getting it from the media to see what is happening, it is so traumatizing.
Okay.
It is not the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's bring in mzee pale kwa kona. Niambie wewe ulipokea ujumbe vipi na mtoto anaendelea vipi kwa sasa?
Kwanza ni wasalimu. Ya pili ni majina yangu, mimi naitwa Joel Njagi, ambaye ni mzazi mmoja wa hiyo Places Talent ambayo ilianguka hiyo tarehe 23 masaa ya asubuhi. Mimi niko na kijana anaitwa Alex na alipata ajali hapo na ndiye alikaa sana hospitali kule Kenyatta ICU. Na kwa bahati tu aliweza kutoka ICU akaingia kwa ward na akakaa kitu kama wiki moja akakuwa discharged. Akitoka hakukuwa amepata nafuu, hakuwa anaweza kukaa na hakuwa anaweza kusimama. Hata kukula ilikuwa ni shida sababu alikuwa anakula kitu anatapika sababu ya kugongwa kule, alikuwa amegongwa na mawe. Sasa mimi ile kitu ilinistua hiyo siku ni watoto vile ajali ilifanyika hatukupata kuitwa na walimu. Wale watu walitujulisha ni wazazi. Sasa ndio mimi nauliza kama kuna vile tunaweza kuwa tunapata ripoti kutoka kwa wenye kukaa na watoto kwa shule.
Okay. Asante. In the Muli, you know, the 2008 Safety Standards Manual for Schools, page 65 to be specific, in the conclusion says that, and I quote, school management and their stakeholders must constantly examine and re-examine the local circumstances and decide on what they need to do to ensure safety of students in school. Should the head teachers take full responsibility in the lapse of safety in schools?
Thank you very much. Of course, as a head teacher, always the buck stops with you. But as the manual says, school management and stakeholders. School management is wide. We have the principal and we have the board of management members. We have other stakeholders that includes the Ministry of Education itself, the county governments, which must also come in and play a role. Remember, the school safety manual looks at a wide area of school safety. It has 13 areas, almost 13 areas it's looking at. But we have always concentrated on only one area, and that is infrastructure. How the windows should open, how the doors should open, the sizes of corridors and the rest. But there are many other areas that we need to look at.
Yeah.
So the principals can take part of the blame as being the secretaries to the board of management, but they cannot be wholly be responsible for what goes on. Because one, these structures are designed, and they are designed by Public Works, which is a government entity. No school can put up a building that is not approved by Public Works. By the time the school is given a certificate of occupation, this is done by Public Works. So we cannot just put up a structure, get into it without approvals. And that's why I say we may not, as principal, be the ones to take the blame wholly. Yeah. It has a whole spectrum of people, which must also be held accountable for it. Yes, we are custodians of various policies, but we also work with support from other entities of government.
Okay. Echesa, speak to me about the issue of Kakamega. Now, they were talking about the Precious Talent School. One of the concerns was that maybe the number of, the structure could not hold the weight. You at Kakamega Primary School, for example, you have been there. What did you see?
I have been to Kakamega Primary, and I am sure my good friend Kahi has been there because it is in his neighborhood. At Kakamega Primary, unknown to many Kenyans, Kakamega sits on less than an acre of land, at least where the serious academic tuition goes on. Kakamega has about 3,112 pupils against 70 teachers. On the building where this tragedy occurred, there were about 1,662 pupils. And people are asking, why just standard 5 pupils? And why is it that there was no blood, even attributing that to superstition? If you close your eyes for a moment and imagine over 1,600 students trying to use one corridor, and there is a stampede, and these are kids who are below 15 years who cannot easily foretell whether the threat is real or not real, it is possible that 20 students can die. And they died out of suffocation. Because there were too many in one place, those who could not breathe passed on. Those who reached the ground, about 46 of them, sustained injuries, and they were admitted to various hospitals. That places the tragedy purely in the management of the school. My brother has said that principals are not wholly to blame. That is true. However, when we look at Section 5 of the Basic Education Regulations of 2015, the principal and the head teacher are agents of the Cabinet Secretary for Education in every school. Meaning, why we blame the minister, and the minister is purely to blame for security lapses in schools, the agent on the ground must be blamed. Of course, we have boards of management in schools, but the truth is, Trevor, I have had a chance to teach class 1 in this country in a school called Habondi Primary. I have taught Form 1 at St. Peter's High School. I have taught at the university. I can tell you that boards of managements are just puppets for head teachers and principals. It is principals who run the show with the boards of management. It is principals who direct them. They only hide under the term being the secretary to that particular board, but they run the show. So the power is with them to ensure that the board is running the school in the right direction.
All right. Yeah. Mr. Nimuli, I'll give you a right of response to that.
Thank you very much. I think my colleague may be talking out of maybe lack of information. Yes, we are secretaries to those boards. And I don't want him to tell this country that the people who have been put to sit on those boards cannot think for themselves, that they are only puppets of principles. I think that is a wrong statement, and I would want him to apologize, because we have very strong Kenyans sitting on our boards who can think on their own, who can tell the principal, here you are wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way, as a principal, I will preside over something that the board will approve. There's no way I'm going to put up structures and occupy those structures without my board visiting and accepting, and without a report from public works. The narrative that has been in this nation, which is wrong, is principals are always to blame for anything that goes wrong in the school. He says that the agents of the minister on the ground are principal. No, it's not true. The agents of Ministry of Education at management of the school is board of management. That is why when something goes wrong, the minister of late has been punishing the boards. They have been dissolved. Teacher Service Commission may take action on the principal. So I think here, let us be open. Let us look at, without putting blame on anybody, we have a challenge. The challenge is we have a number of students. He has just talked about Kakamega, and we want to say we are sorry for whatever happened. These are 3,000 students in that kind of land. A head teacher has been sent there. You are sent to a school that has 1 acre with those number of students. What powers do you have as a head teacher to now say, I'm not going to head this school because it is on an 1 acre land with 3,000 students? The head teacher has no powers. The powers goes to whoever certified that school to exist on that size with that number of students.
And who would that be?
Through the Ministry of Education. They are the ones who certify and give certificate to schools to operate.
CS then.
Yes. 2, we have the policy of no child should be left behind, which as principals we have to facilitate and ensure government policy is taken in. As we take in more students, the challenge is how fast are we developing the infrastructure to manage the more students that are coming in. Eventually, when a disaster happens, the blame will come to the principal. But as we bring in these students, the principal has no say in saying, no, I don't want this student. Because when you say that, you are also going against policy of no child should be left behind. What we should do as a nation is we need to come up and think of how can we improve or expand our infrastructure. Not only looking at the Ministry of Education to do it, but can we have other stakeholders coming in? For example, can we also have a levy? The other time there was this levy on housing, which was again stopped. I would have said, supposing the figure was reduced to 3%, and then this money is actually put into infrastructure and supervised in expansion of our schools. Because we just have to do it, and as more students come in. This is something that we have to take.
All right. How many teachers do we have here? By a show of hands, we have several teachers. I'd like to hear from them. Just pass the microphone down here and hear from them. What are the main issues here? And I'll start with you. Yeah, go ahead. You have the microphone. Just introduce yourself and tell us what is the missing gap here.
My name is Monica. And what I can say, as government, can you look for a way that if a person wants to open a school, you just go and look for that place where the school is going to be open? Because nowadays, you see somebody just wake up and decide to open a school in a plot, anywhere. You found many schools in a places. So you see in that school, there is no any space for these children. So anything can happen. How do this government going to help us as teachers?
So as a teacher, when you realize there's something, a structural defect of some sorts, because this 2008 Safety Standards Manual I'm talking about also places some of the responsibility on the teacher, that should you see cracks, you have to go and report. Who do you go to as a teacher?
You go to the director. So you can go to the director, but director can tell you, I can do this. So how do this government going to help us as teachers?
All right. Inimuli, you'll answer that, but there's another teacher over there. What do you think are the missing gaps here from where you stand? Because you have experience qua ground, and they say qua ground vitu ni different.
What I can say is that even the teacher themselves can play part in safety in the schools. As take a case study about the Kakamega. It's not that it happens because the number is big. Is the only that happened that because the precaution were not undertaken the way it was supposed to be. If they could have taught the children in terms of emergency, if something happened, instead of when they panic, the kids always shout and run. Instead of running, what can we do to them so that from one point A to point B, when the disaster happened, are they in a sober mood? Or are they running up and down, shouting? Because I think the case of Kakamega is different from Precious. If we look case to case. Because this one, it happened because something happened and then the kid panicked and they started running all over. So the teacher in that school, in one way or another, I think they did not take the responsibility that they were supposed to undertake.
Is it part of what you teach as a teacher to students so that they know, should there be a disaster, this is our assembly point, this is what we do? Is it part of the curriculum? Yeah, because especially the school like that one, that had a bigger number in a small portion, they must have a way that from each and every class, as they move out and come in, they move in an orderly way. Yeah, I think that's what they missed. All right, we still have another teacher again. Start with your name and then...
I'm Peter Tieno, a teacher. I think where we have the labs are on the point when the accreditation and the registration of the school at that particular point, when we now follow the provisions. We have the mandatory provisions and we have the provision that require an institution has to meet in the process of securing the registration process. However, on the part of the teachers as a school or the institutions, we ensure that we create awareness, continuous creation of awareness amongst the students or the pupils, such that when such issues arise, what are they supposed to do? And also the point of the teacher's responsibility as well. Whenever you see there is a crack or there is something that is strange, that is of security concern, it is your responsibility at least to make the follow-up. We don't wait for somebody from outside. The security begins with the teacher in the school, because we have to ensure that the children are safe, because that is why we have them in the school. The school acts as the second home for these particular children. And therefore we need not to assume when we see something that is going amiss, we have to raise an alarm, and it has to start with me as a teacher.
And when you do that, what is the reception like? Say you see something off and you talk about it, is it acted upon immediately?
Yes, I would want to say that where I have been working or I work as at now, it's such like issues arise, we take measures, because life is very precious. And losing one is tantamount to torturing other children within the institution, because a child seeing one of them losing life, that one means you also tortured those who are still alive in the process.
Just pass the microphone to Sami Mwangangi. He's a safety and security and emergency disaster expert as well. What is the ideal situation? Should there be teachings? Because she raised an issue of one, disaster response, and information passing. What is the ideal situation? What do you recommend?
First, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Okay. As you have heard, my name is Sam Mwangangi. And even before I go to the ideal, I would like to be very real. When we talk of disaster and emergency, remember, these are two words used interchangeably. Disaster and emergency. We have a situation whereby a disaster has happened. Do we have members of a society who has the knowledge to either prevent or even mitigate, leave alone the preparedness? Because I want to partially agree with the teachers here. But the question to teachers is, besides having been taught or now to instruct on the students, are we knowledgeable in matters disaster and emergency management? In case something happens, do you just go about it the way another person should undo the same? This is what I want to say. Remember, when an emergency or disaster happens, the same way a crime has been committed, when you hear, for example, when a crime has been committed, for example, someone has been killed here. Yeah. What happens, since it is a matter of criminality, the policeman or whoever comes first, yeah, ensures that the place is condoned. The place is condoned. Why do that place? Why do you have to condone the place? It is because if you allow everyone to come and interfere with what has happened, then the result will be chaos. So it has been a challenge to Kenya and society, because we are no longer proactive. We are too reactive. Today, we are talking of Kakamega being a 1 acre, having 1 acre of land. Is Kakamega Primary School a new school? Was it built just last year? It has been there. So things are happening, but since it has just happened, we want to react on what is happening at that particular time. But before it was built, what necessitated for it to be built on such a thing? So as a Kenyan society, we have an obligation to be responsible, to be responsive by ensuring what the madam there said. Yeah. That is, before we come up with these structures, yeah, the government of the day should be responsible enough and to be ready to be accounted. How? We are giving you a license to start a school. Where are you going to start that school? Okay. Is it viable? Is it a place where we know our safety and safety of both teachers and pupils will be assured? So as we move forth, maybe I answer what entails the vulnerability and the hazards. Thank you very much.
All right, for now we have to take a quick break here on the Monday Report. Use the hashtag Monday Report. This is a town hall session. We're talking about how safe is your child in school? Have you ever thought about it? What are the missing links? What are the solutions? And that's the discussion we're having. Keep your views coming on 22422 at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. And we'll be back in just a bit.